Yeah. Yeah, baby. Mac is back. Back with another session. Thinking here how I should I don't want to center this camera, but I guess you can't really polish a turd. What the saying is, right? Doesn't stop me from trying though. I guess that's kind of centered for the Instagrams and TikToks of the world. Okay, so legs. That's what we're gonna do. So same as last time, we're gonna do some SSB box squats and also the RDLs with the cable thingy-majingy here. So I'm just gonna do a quick pass. With the Theragun. This is mainly just to loosen up any tension that might be here, which we do have a bit of. I find that this really helps you, well, first of all, kind of relax and loosen up for the session. Kind of sounds weird when you're supposed to be using your muscles, but if you're all tensed up, all jumbled up, and then you start lifting weights, it can sometimes loosen you up, but sometimes also that tension just builds. And muscle is ideally supposed to be, supple and soft, and you're supposed to be then filling that with blood as you're using it. So it's a better starting point to be loose and then warm up and then do what we're doing. So this is actually feeling really nice. So I also feel a bit of warmth coming from this treatment, which is a really good sign. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it means you really needed it. At least for me. A lot of people who try this, who don't really take care of themselves properly, they report the kind of, it feels like the place that you treated, almost it's like radiating heat. And that's all of that tension coming loose and all of that blood getting to that site where it hasn't really been in that way in a while. Yeah, these side quads tend to be a point of contention, usually. All right. Next up, I'm going to work a bit of this hip, which for me tends to be super tense. I like to work from the side up to the hip bone, kind of follow that crease in there. tracking this one. So, as we learned last time, since we're not bolted to the floor with this, gotta put some counterweight here. We begin to add the weight. This thing doesn't tip over. Good. So for this one, I'm going to use the wide bar, but I'm basically going to use grip width that I would do for a normal RDL. So pretty much just outside of my own body. Oh, that's tight. Very tight. Very tight indeed. But that's why we're doing it. It will things will loosen up. Really, this variation of the RDL, it's really important to stick to the hip hinge cue. It's a lot easier when the bar is kind of pulling you straight down. It's a lot easier for me to think about that. Whereas here, you kind of need to think about the same thing, but you need to allow your hands to travel forward. So, different thing, but just need to keep your mind fixed on the same movement pattern. Let me check up on this Instagrammage. Alright, so we're gonna load these up nice and slow. Yeah, gotta change the angle a bit for this, I'm sure. I don't know if this is difficult to estimate where this should go. So on those ones, I'm just trying to focus on as much of a stretch in my hamstrings as possible. That's pretty much the main thing. Hey, what's up? NA says, hey, we chatted ages ago. Can't stay, but I thought I'd say hi. What's up? Very happy you said hi. And thanks for the follow. Oh, you said, yeah, we had the conversation about tickling. We're talking about Justin Bieber and who was, yeah, my choice was the Navy SEAL guy. Great conversation. Important topics of the world. Glad to have you back with us. NA says, can't remember. Did you think Justin was a good choice? Yeah, I thought it was a solid pick. It would be entertaining for sure. Although I don't know what he's like these days. I mean, I never really did, but I guess I knew more about him in his earlier times. When he was more maybe boyish, I guess. So right now, I just prefer to kind of warm up to higher weights. I don't want to spend too much gas on warm-up sets, as you shouldn't. But yeah, you chose him because you thought he'd be really ticklish. Yeah, no, it's true. And it seems like he would giggle, I guess. Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. It's a good pick. I don't criticize you. Gotta figure out something with all this camera business. Oh. Cool. That begins to feel really good once you get a bit of a stretch going. Feels really nice. I've got such tight hamstrings that it's not even funny. So that feels really bloody good. That's the only hamstring stretch I can do, like against a resistance that's pulling it. It actually feels good. Like any hamstring stretch I do on my own, it's agony. It feels horrible. Yeah, my choice to tickle would be Jocko Willink. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. Now has a podcast and a bunch of businesses. But yeah, he's like a super tough guy, but he's also funny. So it would be a good combo of him being tough, but he kind of would find it funny and would really try hard not to laugh, but he'd be tempted to laugh. So I think it would be entertaining. Let's check out the weights that we should be dealing with here. So we have a few options here. I could do my first set with this, or I could just do a few reps, get a feel for it, and then bump the weight up, which I think is the right call. So we're just gonna... Do I think Jocko Willing would break? I don't think he would. I get a feeling that he's not actually like super ticklish, but he would just find the whole thing very absurd, and it would be funny to him. So I think that would be the hardest thing for him, to just try not to laugh. But I don't think he would break. All right. So let's get these loaded. I said and he asks, how long should Justin get tickled for? As long as it takes. As long as it takes to break him. And as long as it takes for him to pass out from all the laughing. That's my answer. Cable RDL. Okay, so we did do 20 kg. So okay, we're still gonna warm up with this, I suspect. Okay, so it's heavy enough. I decided that I'd rather do a set with that. I think that was 20 reps. Might have lost count. The kind of the tricky thing here with the weight is the stabilization. I don't feel super secure in that position, so it can be kind of, I felt like I was activating my upper body maybe a bit too much than what I would prefer. But we'll see. I think we'll test one more set with a bit more weight. Yeah, the point is to, NA says, make him cry laughing, beg a bit, go almost mad. I don't know about mad, I just love him to pass out. maybe wee himself, that could also be a possibility. Because that happens if you laugh really hard and you can't escape it, so. We have to chat more about this. I think we could, you know, bury the tickling topic. I think we've covered a lot of ground, you know, so maybe another area of expertise would be in order. Cool. What are we gonna do here? I think we're gonna put the big boy weights here, finally, and do our sets with that. Or maybe, if we're gonna continue the tickling topic, make like a top 10 people to tickle. Oh. I think Trump would be pretty nice. because I think he would fight to the very end, not to laugh. I think it would be very hard for his sense of self to show that kind of a side of him. So he'd probably be pretty high up in my list. Okie dokie. Cool. No much more to it. Yeah, lift my trousers actually do not have any mechanism for holding them, so it's a bit of a it's kind of wedged underneath my belt. Cool. So I'll be treating this as a set. It will probably be pretty heavy for me. But in terms of reps, I really don't. I'm not sure where I want to go with this. Definitely at least 10, but let's see. Yeah. I think what I want to do, I'll keep it at 10, but we'll see how many sets of that I can do. Prefer to have an extra set rather than more reps. So last time we tried 20, it was clearly quite demanding. So I feel like I still want to try 20 because I really want to see how it feels. What it feels like. Because if there's too much upper body activation here, then it's kind of like not what I'm after. So, what's up, XPD? How you doing? Let's get this camera. I guess that's centered. So, yeah, ish. Yeah, I want to see how this feels. If possible, I want to do more reps than I did last week on this weight. Then at least some kind of a progress. But if it's too unstable, then I'd rather pull back and do proper sets with the other weight there. I'm also thinking a bit about my stance. When I would deadlift, I used to prefer like a bit of a wider stance. Sort of allow my hips to open a bit more. With this, it's a bit different though, because it feels like I just want to drive that hamstring stretch. I don't really mind being, more sort of narrow and straight onwards. because the mechanics are very different with this one. It's just like pulling you forward. So that's a really nice way of actually just getting a lot of the tension into your hamstrings. I'm guessing I want to keep this narrower stance. Okay. I lost count somewhere there. I think that was 16, maybe. I kind of lost count, to be honest. That's I kind of wanted to test how that feels. That's really interesting because with this, there's so much weight obviously pulling you forward. You have to kind of have a slight, lean to the back to counter that. And then also putting the weight on your feet is kind of tricky because it obviously tends to tip to the front of your foot. You kind of have to work that as you're lowering yourself down. There is like a line where you get it perfect, but definitely the challenge with this variation is as the weight gets higher, it's tipping you forward a bit more. There's a way to work it through, but it does have pluses and minuses. Oh, XPD says, somehow caught flu in the middle of summer. Can't wait to start lifting again. Man, like summer colds, or flus, sorry. Summer flus really sucks. They really suck. It's so weird. I remember, this was quite a few years ago, but I had a really bad flu during the summer. And also my sinuses are kind of like really narrow, I guess. So they get infected really easy. So I had the flu and then I had the sinus infection. And my ears got completely blocked. And for me, when your ears get blocked, that for me is maybe kind of the sense, out of all the senses, for me it's one that makes me feel present in the physical world more than anything. Sight is obviously big, but if I can't hear, I don't feel like I'm anywhere. So my ears were blocked, and I was good enough to go play this board game with my friends. And I went there, and in the car, like everything felt super surreal because I didn't really hear all that great. And I was sort of, it feels like you're sort of compressed into your own head. And yeah, that was really shitty because outside it was like, 20 something degrees Celsius and beautiful, but inside I felt locked in my head. I couldn't hear almost anything. I still felt really crappy. Yeah, it's really depressing when the outside world is super pretty and nice and then you feel like shit. So I hope you get better soon. Remember to get your fluids, your electrolytes, your food, and your sleep more than anything. And I hope you get to the gym soon again. How are you? XBD asks, how are you doing? I'm doing good, thank you. A bit swamped in terms of all the things that I want to and need to be doing, especially on the work front with the video game soundtracks. It's a lot of stuff, and especially like today when I was working. Rough day at the studio because everything just sounds like shit today. So I was like, all right, I did that for a few hours, and then I, came here and worked out because I thought, geez, like I need to shift gears somehow. But yeah, all in all, really good. Kid is doing well. Yeah, not complaining. DJW says, wow, such great lifting. Strong. Thank you. I don't know if you're complimenting me genuinely or making fun of me, but in any case, welcome to the channel. Nice to have you with us. Can't really receive at least a compliment on the strength because we're not moving a lot of weight here, but compared to someone who's not doing anything, I guess you could say that. XPD says, I feel so disoriented with blocked ears. Yeah. That's for me. That's really. I'm not gonna say the worst, but it's really sucky. That's kind of a weird thing because a lot of people say that they are the most, or sort of they register the world around them the most visually, and obviously maybe that like in terms of the amount of information, that's certainly true, and we use our visuals the most. But in terms of like me feeling as if I'm here, sound is like it's three-dimensional, kind of omni-directional, and you can still, you can hear stuff behind you. You can't see stuff behind you unless you have a mirror, and still the visual world, I don't feel the three-dimensionality of it as much. I know that pile of junk over there is there, but it's not like I don't feel that three-dimensional space as I do with sound. So I guess that's why, to me, it's the most disorienting, like you said. So I don't know if that's like a common thing, but. Yeah, I really hope, if I'm to lose a sense that it's not my hearing. God willing. I don't know if this is some kind of a wood. Do we have wood anywhere? There's wood over there. Knock, knock. Yeah. That would really suck. So, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but let's jump into this set. Let's do another squat. I'm dizzy. Oh, it's so dizzy so easily. Jeez. Oh. Yeah, that's. It's not even a lot of weight. It's the legs are not in a good shape. I really wish I had a leg press. I know a lot of people do not like it, especially in the power world. But I like the leg press. It's a good piece of kit. Learning squatting is so much
it's pretty hard, pretty technical. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, so I'm actually a fan of first learning to leg press properly and getting some strength, getting some mobility hopefully, and then doing some squatting. Notorious Gamer says, man, I'm gonna be real with you. My workouts are shit on a cut. I try my best, but no good. Yeah, that's a thing for sure. Probably a few things on that. Firstly, I don't know how radical your cut is. Like, how big is your deficit? So I would probably lessen the deficit, make it less. That's certainly one thing. And then for me, meal timing is big. So I really, for me, like if I haven't like, I can't say I've done like a bodybuilding style cut, but I've definitely been through periods of restricted calories and lifting. And yeah, meal timing is big. For me, it makes a big difference. So maybe that's something you can explore. I used to really center my meals before the workouts. So if I'm in a calorie deficit, I would really kind of load the food in prior to that, and then go lighter towards the end of the day. And I would still have like a good meal after the workout as well. But I think that's like putting fuel in before the workout really worked for me. But yeah, it can be tough. Also, one thing is to look at your macro distribution. So I don't know, what sucks on your cut, but like if you're not getting enough fats, that will affect joints and stuff like that a lot. And also if you're not getting enough protein, but I don't know the specifics. XPD says that seems to be normal as long as you're not losing too much strength. Hard to make progress on a deficit. Yeah, I mean that definitely is tough. There are tricks around that, varying the exercises you do, and just switching up things as much as possible so your brain doesn't know what to expect. Doing that as much as possible for me overall is really good for training, because if I'm going to the gym and I know kind of that last time I did X, Y, and Z, and today I need to do X, Y, and Z plus, then that's kind of like, in many cases, something I'm dreading. I'm going to do that if I feel really good, if I know I can surpass them. But if not, then I'll just switch things around. So I don't really know what to expect. Obviously, you should have a tracking system for your lifting, but having longer periods of time between the exercises you're doing does wonders to that kind of stuff. Notorious says, not losing strength, just gassing out. Yeah, I mean that's definitely one aspect of it. Yeah, again, I would look at the size of your deficit. I would really, if you have time and you're in no rush, then I would make the deficit as small as possible, but something that obviously still works, as a cut. Tori says, could it also be due to the fact that I have low body fat to begin with? Well, I mean, definitely in terms of, obviously your body, if it needs to switch gears into burning fat, then yes, because you have less to pull from that. But it tends to be the case that obviously your body can't go to the fat storage as fast. So mainly we burn fat while we are either resting or doing like low state stuff. So overall, in terms of having low body fat, it should in general give you better overall energy. But to me that sounds like you might want to experiment with, this is just one guess, so this is not a recommendation or prescription, but I don't know how many carbs you eat, but if it sounds like you gas out, then I would try changing the macros in such a way that you have more carbs to actually fuel your workouts. I don't know what kind of workouts you do. Lifting weights doesn't require that much in terms of carbs, but if you are gassing out, that could be one thing to experiment with, to getting more carbs in, and lessening let's say fats instead. But you track calories and protein. Yeah, I think it would be useful to track carbs, fats, and protein, all of those, because then if you bump into a situation like this, then you could say, all right, let's drop the fats a bit and increase the carbs and see if you have more energy. That's why tracking these kind of things is useful, because otherwise you just really don't know. Obviously you can kind of guesstimate and do stuff like that, but the deeper you go into your fitness journey, the more valuable that information becomes, because then you can actually tweak that stuff. It's very hard to do just based on your eyes and looking at what's on the plate. So Notori says, not just during my workout, I just feel low energy in general, even here on the computer. Okay. That could be a number of things. Let's do one set. We'll come back to that after this. We'll keep the weight here. I want to experiment with this technique for this. I don't know how many that was. I think 20. Could have been 19. Oh, shit. Okay. So that was... Maybe someone counted. I don't know. Notorious asking, right now you're on a cut. No, not really. What I'm doing right now I would sort of describe as let me get this adjusted. I would sort of describe this as like a recomposition kind of a phase, because I don't carry, so like because of all my health issues, I got really undertrained. So for me to jump back into training, I can make gains pretty fast again, because of being so undertrained, and I do still have the experience, and when you get back into lifting, if you've been lifting before and you can't, and then you come back, you can make those gains really fast actually. But right now I can actually build muscle and lose fat still, but if I get to where I was before, if I ever do that, then that's probably a phase where I need to cut. But recomposition is, I'd say it's always doable. It's a pretty tricky task for sure, and this is why you really want to track just about everything, so you can change things and see if you get results. But if you get to like recomposition beyond, I'd say, the intermediate level of training becomes tricky. Certainly if you're a natural, if you're taking performance enhancing drugs, that's a very different story, because then it's certainly very doable. But for a natural, it can be tricky. So that's what I would describe myself doing right now, kind of a recomposition phase. But what I'm doing right now, the biggest difference to how I've been doing things before, is that I'm pretty low carb right now. So in a day I have a maximum of maybe 150 carbs. That's on a day when I go like heavy on the carbs. So I'm somewhere between 100 carbs and 150 per day. For those of you who know what that means, you know what it means. And those who don't, that's kind of like, I think 150 is kind of the, if you go beyond that, then you're no longer low carb. And then under low carb, you got keto, which is usually under 50 grams of carbs a day. So Notorious asks how much protein. So I eat really high protein. Right now, I'm about 80 kilos body weight. During the day, I'm more, but like my morning weight is about 80. I have about 200 grams of protein per day. Usually a bit more than that. It's probably 205 right now. So that's definitely where the biggest chunk of my calories are going. And yeah, certainly if you're cutting, the protein is super important. So I would make that as you're doing, you're tracking how much protein you're having. So that's super important when you're cutting, because you want to make sure first of all, that you're stimulating the muscles so that your body has a reason to stick to the muscles. Because if you're, cutting and you're not using the muscles, they might as well go. So you have to give your body a reason to keep them around. And the protein, it needs to sustain itself. So the most important thing for sure to keep in check. Notorious says, 80 is my goal weight. I'm 6 foot 175 kilos. Yeah, I want to get to 80 kg. Right now I'm cutting to 70 kg just to see what I'm doing. Yeah, for your weight, 5 kilos cutting, that's quite a lot. I mean, you can certainly, see the effects of that for sure. Do you know how big your calorie deficit is in a day? Because that's really one of the key things. I also wanted to mention, when it came to you said you have low energy. This is a super complicated topic. But I'm just bringing this up from my own experience my own perspective, and I don't hear a lot of people, well, many people talk about this the same way, but it's just most people don't really know much about nutrition, so they can't really talk much about it. But for me, I was really low energy when I was eating a lot of carbs, because you would have the insulin spike and that would just make me super tired. So that's one of the things. If you're eating a lot of carbs and you find that after eating you just get super sluggish and tired, that's something to look at for sure, because for me that happened and I didn't really understand what was causing it. And now that I eat low carb, that's a very different story. So basically throughout the day, the first half of the day, or maybe 3/4 of the day, I basically eat no carbs. I just eat, meat and vegetables pretty much, or chicken and vegetables and stuff like that. And then at the end of the day I usually eat my carbs. So that's something to look at if you are eating a fair amount of carbs, because that might be what's making you tired throughout the day as well. My energy is a lot better now that I center my carbs towards the end of the day, and then it's fine that it makes me tired. It's actually desirable that it makes me tired so that I can go and sleep. Cool. I'm gonna call it there because I don't wanna, I feel like I'm maybe tapping into my energy reserves a bit more than I'd like. And also, I feel like the right side of my face is going numb again, which is a good sign that I might be going too far. So there's that. Also, when it comes to your tiredness, and this is an example of why the issue is not so cut and dry, and you need to know the specifics to try and help somebody, is that also if you're eating very low fat, that can also make you tired. I'm kind of exhausted in a different way, because if you don't get enough fats, your body doesn't have enough stuff to use to make things like hormones, and those are super important, as we know. So I've also done that as well. One good way of telling whether that's the case is whether your joints are achy. If you sort of begin to feel very, how should I put this? Yeah, I guess the joint aching is really the biggest tell for me when you're too low on fat, because I had a phase where I would test basically eating low fat. So I would eat basically chicken, your vegetables, and that's about it. And you can cut really well with that, because fats obviously do have a lot of energy. So you can lose body fat that way very effectively, and you can get very lean, but you're gonna pay the price if you don't. You need fats to build all kinds of stuff in the body, but hormones is one of the things, and also all your joints and ligaments and tendons and stuff like that, they need that stuff to lubricate properly. So that's also not a good way to go. And it did make me tired, but in sort of a different way. Maybe kind of more exhausted rather than sleepy with the carbs. Okay, so your deficit is 400 calories per day. Yeah, that's kind of like a, usually I wouldn't recommend going beyond 500. That's kind of like, usually gets mentally quite challenging at that point, because you're hungry and you begin to have all kinds of cravings and stuff like that. So, but on the other hand, I wouldn't probably go lower than 200. It gets a bit murky and slow at that point. So that's not bad. You could try. Obviously, you're only going to gain, 100, 150 calories. Well, maybe 100 in your case, if you went down. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to give. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Notorious. Yeah, pretty hard to say what might be causing the tiredness. Also, how long have you been cutting? Because that's also a factor. There will be diet or cutting fatigue for sure. That's kind of like unavoidable. So if you're cutting for a long time, that's going to get tiring, and your body's probably going to need certain stuff that it's missing. Because even when you're cutting, it's likely that, well, I shouldn't say likely. It's possible that you're missing some micronutrients as well. So that could be a thing. Yeah, nice chatting with you. See you next time. I think I'm also going to cut the stream here so I don't overdo things. Let me check. So tomorrow is Monday. Yeah, probably train upper body, so I'm not going to do... Am I going to do arms? Honestly, my arms feel pretty good to go. But I feel like my fatigue is getting too high. So let's call it here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the new follows. I will see you next time. Take care of yourself. Finished.